Viscoplastopology summary of my 9-year and 16-year autophagy studies. Number 1432, VPT Sharp 005, November 10, 2025. Gerald C. EclaireMD Foundation. Category: Longevity and Autophagy. Preface: Viscoplastopology is the new unified scientific framework that I recently created to describe the integration of the viscoplastic energy model and the topological geometry model. Instead of saying VMT plus TDA, I now use one single term that captures both the physical engineering features, viscosity and plasticity, and the mathematical geometric features, topology, of biomedical adaptation. Viscoplastopology combines viscosity for dynamic, time-dependent responses, plasticity for permanent deformation, or long-term adaptation, and topology for the geometric evolution of any dataset, including its size, shape, and connectivity. This unified approach allows me to study how metabolic systems transform, from instability to stability, and how the medical healing process evolves from unhealthy to healthy, by observing both internal energy dissipation and external geometric contraction. In this article, I use viscoplastopology to summarize and reinterpret two major autophagy studies, number 1389 and number 1391, that I have completed. The first is my 9-year study, from 2017 to 2025, which focused on glucose dynamics using 3 inputs: fasting hours, sleep hours, and dinner carbohydrate and sugar grams. The second is my 16-year study, from 2010 to 2025, which applied a broader behavioral model, including fasting hours, diet quality, sleep duration, and walking steps. Although both studies follow the same scientific philosophy, their different time spans captured different stages of my biological transformation, including the aging process and the gradual strengthening of autophagy. By unifying these studies under the single framework of viscoplastopology, I can present the complete picture of how my autophagy system evolved, stabilized, and maintained high efficiency through disciplined lifestyle management. Introduction. Autophagy is the self-cleansing process by which damaged proteins and cell parts are recycled to maintain cellular health. It is mainly controlled by the balance between AMPK and mTOR. AMPK is the cell's low fuel sensor that turns on repair when energy is scarce, while mTOR is the growth switch that turns on when nutrients are plentiful. In practical daily life, fasting, sleep, food quality, and walking form the behavioral foundation that keeps these two signals in balance and supports healthier autophagy. My 2 autophagy studies approach this process from different perspectives. The 9-year study, from 2017 to 2025, used the overnight glucose drop, pre-bed minus early morning, as a direct physiological proxy for nightly autophagic strength. This study captured the steady state pattern of metabolism during the recovery period after 2017. The 16-year study, from 2010 to 2025, used a broader autophagy proxy index, API, that I constructed from 4 normalized lifestyle behaviors. This longer dataset captured the full sequence of viscoplastopology transformation, including the recovery phase, the alignment phase, and the long-term stabilization phase. By applying this unique viscoplastopology research methodology, I now combine these 2 studies into one comprehensive interpretation: autophagy, fasting, hypoglycemia safety, and the organ-level benefits of metformin drug. This section is valuable for older readers, and also for physicians, who often underestimate nighttime risk. Autophagy is the body's natural housekeeping process. It clears out old or damaged materials inside cells, so they can stay healthy and work efficiently. From my long-term observations, the most reliable way to activate autophagy is through a simple daily routine: a mild 13-hour overnight fast, an early and light dinner, and from 7 to 8 hours of good sleep. This pattern gently lowers insulin, raises the body's repair signals, and allows autophagy to work during the night. A key part of this process is AMPK. AMPK is a built-in fuel sensor inside every cell. When food is low and energy is tight, AMPK turns on repair mode. It signals the cell to stop growing and start cleaning up. Because AMPK works like an automatic switch, the goal is not extreme fasting, but a safe and steady drop in glucose that encourages the body to recycle waste without causing trouble. This is why the shape of the nightly glucose curve matters. When my glucose slowly drifts downward, between midnight and early morning, autophagy works smoothly. But if the decline becomes too sharp, or if I eat too few carbohydrates at dinner, the risk of hypoglycemia increases. When glucose falls too low, the body becomes alarmed, stress hormones rise, the heart rate increases, and the body begins fighting low sugar instead of repairing itself. This stops autophagy. In certain severe situations, hypoglycemia can cause dizziness, irregular heartbeats, weakness, confusion, or even sudden death. For older adults, these risks are unnecessary and dangerous. My data clearly show that autophagy does not require long fasts, starvation, or extreme diets, a steady and mild nightly routine is safer and more effective. The classic diabetes medication metformin fits into this picture. By adding an extra layer of stability, metformin helps the liver release less glucose at night, and improves insulin sensitivity across the body. Most importantly, metformin rarely causes hypoglycemia, because it does not force the pancreas to produce more insulin. Instead, it activates AMPK inside the liver and other tissues. This low-risk mechanism makes metformin compatible with fasting and sleep-driven autophagy. Over the years, many studies have shown that metformin benefits far more than just glucose control. It helps blood vessels by reducing inflammation, supports kidney cells under stress, improves energy efficiency in muscles, and may protect the brain by lowering oxidative damage. These organ-level improvements help explain why metformin is often linked to healthier aging. Although I usually do not support using medications for chronic disease control, metformin is the one exception. I made a clear exception to my long-standing personal rule of avoiding discussion of any medication, but my reasoning is based on data-driven evidence and physiological accuracy. From my viscoplastopology perspective, the combination of appropriate fasting and good sleep shapes the geometry of the metabolic system, while metformin helps reduce the internal stress stored within the system. When both energy, from VMT, and geometry, from TDA, move toward stability, autophagy becomes more consistent and predictable. This combined pattern shows that daily habits and mild medication can work together to keep the metabolic system in a low entropy, high efficiency state. Methods: autophagy proxy index and normalized inputs for 16-year study. In my 16-year study, I used 4 lifestyle variables with the following normalization anchors: fasting hours, 13 hours, sleep hours, 7 hours, food quality, 1.0, walking steps, 12,000 steps. The autophagy proxy index, API, was defined as the multiplication by 100 avoids numerical truncation in the viscoplastic energy calculations. API serves as the output strain in the VMT portion of viscoplastopology, while each of the 4 behaviors becomes an input stressor. For the TDA portion, I mapped the same 4 variables into a 4-dimensional manifold, using Euclidean distances, and observed their geometric evolution over time. Principal components PC1 and PC2 represent the projected movement of the system, while the 3D or 4D topology shows how the behavioral shape contracts and stabilizes. Methods: autophagy proxy index for 9-year study. The 9-year glucose-based study used 3 main stressors: fasting hours, sleep hours, and carbohydrate sugar intake at dinner. The nightly glucose drop, pre-bed, minus FPG, served as a direct biological marker of autophagic activation. VMT energy was calculated for each year, and TDA contraction was tracked by PC1 and PC2. These 2 viscoplastopology disciplines, although using different analytical steps, share the same physical and geometric logic. This allows me to unify them smoothly under a single framework of viscoplastopology. Results from viscoplastic energy, VMT, analysis. The 16-year study captured the full mechanical history of my autophagy restoration. API dropped from about 147 in 2010 to 84 in 2024, a 43% reduction in autophagy strain. Higher API means weaker autophagy, while lower API means stronger self-cleansing ability. This declining strain reflected major recovery in my metabolic function. The viscoplastic energy curve showed rapid energy release between 2010 and 2013. Cumulative VMT efficiency rose above 90% by 2013 and exceeded 99% by 2015. After 2015, the curve became flat, indicating that my system had reached its viscoplastic yield point and entered a long-term plastic equilibrium. The most important mechanical finding is the dramatic difference in VMT energy between VMT energy from 2011 to 2012 is 31.5. VMT energy from 2024 to 2025 is 0.1. The ratio equals 315 times. This means that my behavioral and metabolic energy waste decreased by a factor of 315 across 15 years. It is one of the strongest quantitative indicators of long-term adaptation in all of my longevity studies. Results from topological contraction, TDA, analysis. TDA provided the geometric counterpart to VMT. Just as energy dissipated, the geometry contracted. PC1 moved from about 4.9 in 2010 to about minus 1.4 in 2025. PC2 moved from around 0.6 to about minus 0.2. These 2 movements reflect the shrinking of a large, unstable manifold into a compact and stable region near the origin. In 3D space, defined by fasting on the x-axis, sleep on the y-axis, and steps on the z-axis, the early years, from 2010 to 2013, appear as a wide scattered cloud. By 2019, the points converge into a tight cluster, adding food quality as the 4th dimension compresses this cluster even further. using the VMT energy ratio of 315 times. The equivalent geometric shrinkage in 4D space can be computed as shrink rate equals 1 divided by 315, raised to the power of 1/4, which equals 0.237. This means the shape contracted by about 76%, retaining only 24% of its original geometric volume. That geometric contraction corresponds directly to the VMT energy reduction of 315. Viscoplastopology interprets these two final results as one combined process: energy declines, geometry contracts, and stability emerges. Comparison of 9-year and 16-year perspectives. The 9-year study reflects the later, stable phase of autophagy, while the 16-year study covers a much longer period. That includes the earlier phases of lifestyle correction and metabolic recovery. The longer dataset reveals the full trajectory from disorder to order, while the shorter dataset captures the well-established steady-state pattern after recovery. The 16-year study captured the entire viscoplastic sequence. Phase 1, from 2010 to 2013, rapid energy release and steep mechanical gradient. Phase 2, from 2014 to 2018, yield transition, where behavior and metabolism realign. Phase 3, from 2019 to 2025, stable plastic equilibrium with low energy and compact geometry. Viscoplastopology allows me to describe these phases, not just as chronological events, but as combined physical geometric transformations. Interpretation under viscoplastopology. Viscoplastopology shows that autophagy is not simply a biochemical process, controlled by fasting or sleep, nor something that can be fully described by alphabets and language alone. It is a nonlinear system governed by physical laws of energy, dissipation and geometric laws of shape contraction, and it must be understood through numbers and equations. This represents the power of data science in medicine. Much like a magician's performance that requires both spoken explanation and skilled technique, VMT describes how my system released stored metabolic pressure to regain health. TDA describes how the behavioral shape contracted into long-term stability. Viscoplastopology combines them into one unified academic and scientific trajectory. Key insights include: walking dissipates energy rapidly through mechanical kinetics. Fasting produces slow but deep structural reorganization. Sleep maintains transitional balance between metabolic states. Food quality refines the geometric coherence of the system. These four elements together drive the long-term biomedical plastic transformation of my metabolic health. Discussion. The major lesson learned from viscoplastopology is that biomedical systems behave like adaptive viscoplastic structures with a topological geometry. They store stress, dissipate stress, and gradually remodel their geometry into stability over time. Autophagy improves not because of any single behavior, but because consistent behaviors across multiple influential factors produce simultaneous energy stabilization and topological contraction. The 315 times improvement in VMT energy and the 76% shrinkage in 4D geometry confirm that longevity is not just a matter of avoiding damage. It is the gradual compression of metabolic variability into a low entropy, high efficiency state. In simpler terms, viscoplastopology shows that aging can move toward order rather than disorder, when lifestyle behaviors remain stable, disciplined, and mathematically aligned. Conclusion. My two autophagy studies, when viewed through the unified lens of viscoplastopology, reveal a complete picture of systemic recovery. The 9-year study shows the final stable state, while the 16-year study shows the path leading to that stability. Together they demonstrate that my autophagy system went through 3 viscoplastic phases: rapid recovery with high energy dissipation, from 2010 to 2013, structural realignment and yield transition, from 2014 to 2018, long-term equilibrium with low entropy and stable geometry, from 2019 to 2025, the 315 times VMT energy reduction, and the 76% topological shrink rate represent quantitative proof of this transformation. Viscoplastopology confirms that autophagy is a mechanical, physics and engineering, geometric, mathematics, and biological and behavioral, medicine, system. Longevity emerges when these three components achieve a unified balance. Disclaimer: this content is for educational reference only, and does not constitute medical advice. No doctor-patient relationship is created. You may share this summary freely, but it must not be altered, edited, or republished as your own. All intellectual property rights and copyrights belong to the author. Gerald C.